fantasy scorer, he still scored pretty well. So that was the thing there. So maybe if you can,
It's just my gut feel call of 2021.
I don't mind gut feel. Remedy can put your gut feel.
Yeah, Remedy, Cola. Gut feel call of 2021.
Definitely.
Brent Daniels. Put him on your radar.
Such a good sponsorship, product placement there. The old gut feel call. Anyway, that is it for the players. So Brent Daniels wraps it up there for GWS. I'm going to stop recording that bit because I think the stream has dropped out. Although I think we're back now. Good. Thanks, Telstra. Big shout out to Telstra for this podcast as well. Hopefully they come on as a sponsor and get us some half decent internet at one day. But anyway, before we move on to the listener questions, we'll talk about our membership. So if you enjoy the podcast and you like the work that we do every week and you feel like you get a lot of good information out of this podcast, please consider just becoming a member and supporting us financially. Last week I talked about the show.ks was 3,500. We're 3,700 words this week. Wow. We wrote during the week preparing for this show. And then not just that, we also started working on our top 100 defender rankings.
Ooh, there's some hot takes in mine.
And I've noticed, I had to look through. They are coming out on Friday. So we'll have our top 100 defender rankings and we'll have a mini episode that goes along with that. So if you're a member, you get a double whammy on Friday. You get 2 pieces of great fantasy content coming out only for your ears. But it's not just that. We've got draftee numbers and we've got a podcast about the top fantasy draftees as well with no prospectus this year, Kaz. You're going to have to get your fantasy numbers from somewhere. Why not be us if you're keen to jump on board?
Why not?
There's also the breakout tracker that allows you to track every play in their first 100 games to the top players in the competition at the same point in their careers. I've really mastered explaining that one. It's good. Still don't think it makes sense to many, but anyway.
When you play with it, it makes sense.
Yeah. And then rankings, obviously, we just talked about. They're coming out. We'll have midfielders the week after that, then rucks, then forwards, and that'll lead us into the Amy series, I think it's called now.
Pre-season game.
Yeah,
the
whatever.
one pre-season game.
Whatever. Anyways, we thank our gold members each week. So people that sign up for a gold membership, we read them out on the pod. So thank you to Dave Simpson, Toby Brandenburg, Tom Dickman, Adam Sutton, and Shawn Michael. Is that the WWF wrestler, Shawn Michaels?
Don't know.
You never heard
Not really in
man?
my
Not in your wheelhouse?
Not my wheelhouse.
All right. So if you're keen to sign up, the links are down below in the description. So, jump on board there if you're keen to show us some support. Merch as well. Pretty funny story this week. We're selling T-shirts on our website, obviously. Listener jumped on, bought one. I looked at the address and it was the street that my son's childcare is on. So I delivered it personally. Yeah. So unfortunately they weren't home, so I left it on the side gate. But
imagine a T-shirt and a meet and great with your favourite podcaster.
Yeah, would have been great
for AFL Fantasy Pacific.
Had a beer in there as well. Could have come in. It'd be nice. Just invite myself in. Got any food? Open the fridge.
Not even worth the $20 that the shirt cost you. Ends up costing more.
Oh, that would be classic. Another thing before we move on to the listener questions, each week we read out a podcast review from the Apple podcast platform. They help us rise up the charts, get a few more listeners that way, and help the podcast be known to more listeners. So Cherdo, one of the favourites, he was actually on the League Spotlight segment we did last year. That's kind of been replaced with AFL players this year, but we might have to bring one back later on. We'll have to wait and see. Keeper League Pod, this is what he said. The Keeper League Pod is like the onion of fantasy football. No one eats stir fry and says, oh fuck, that onion in there was delicious. But if the onion wasn't there, they would notice something wasn't right. So finding those onion players, for example, the last 6 to 8 on your list is the difference between winning and losing a premiership. And so all thanks to the Keeper League Pod, I guess. I think.
Yeah, I think that's kind. I just keep thinking of Shrek whenever someone says onions. And stuff like that. We've got plenty of layers.
Well, Shrek is quite popular in pop culture and in meme culture as well. So we'll take that. We can be the Shrek of...
I really like onion in stir fry as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Onion's like
onion
best.
Needs to go in most dishes, really.
There's not really much I don't eat, to be honest. I think I like most things.
But I agree with Cherdo. Onion just gives that little
makes the world go round. Sure.
I'd love to think that we give depth to some people's fantasy teams. All right,
let's actually move on to the listener questions now. All right, I believe the stream is back up and running, Kays. Have you checked it?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, cool. So it just reconnected, thankfully. Anyway, if you've got any questions on the stream, chuck them up now and we'll try to get to them towards the end. Don't leave them too late, otherwise we'll be waiting around for you. Anyway, let's get into some questions. Kays, what is the first one?
First question is from Brandon 576777157. I hate to get that
Thanks
wrong.
for being specific there,
I
Case.
got to get it right. There might be another Brandon. Does Robbie Gray have much trade value left, is his question.
Probably not. I can just see him sitting forward now. I reckon if you've got him, just take what you can get for him. If you're not in contention for a flag, if you're in contention for a flag, keep him. He's going to be a very worthy F4, F5 if that's what you're playing him as. He's probably potentially higher than that, maybe an F3. So but if you've got a decent forward line, he's in there. I'll definitely be happy with that. But I just don't think you're going to get much for him in a trade now. What do you reckon?
Well, yeah. What do you have? 61 average last year, which is about a 75, 76.
He's B2P. We can talk about him this year. I can't wait for the Port Pod.
Anyway, look, the last couple of years, 19, 18, he's been 81, 84, and even the year before was 81. So he's around that mark. Look, at 32, he's getting to that point where you can probably, only kind of make a case for him if you are hunting a flag and need a consistent scorer. He'll bob up and kick a couple a game, and it could be the difference between a win and a loss in your fantasy side, but I don't think no one's really going to hunt him anymore, I don't think.
All right, let's move on. At needs a FUIC, who to keep out of Zach Fisher, Joe Danaher, and Callum Brown? Keep one, delist two.
I will be delisting Callum Brown.
Who else?
Well, apparently Zach Fisher is burning down the house. Like, he's a new man, he's fit as ever, he's massive.
And that's great because all that fantasy potential he's shown means you should keep him, right?
Yeah, but then do you keep Joe Danaher?
That was a joke, by the way, for the
could be
podcast listeners
anything.
that couldn't see my face.
It's a real coin flip toss. I think I'm resigning the fact that Brown's not going to be as good as potentially thought he was. I think a few guys have jumped him. Fisher could be good, but there's a lot of guys who play similar roles there. But look, if Joe is fit, he could be anything.
I'm keeping Danaher. He's the only one who's shown he can actually be a fantasy scorer in the past. Plus, moving clubs, I love that shit.
And forwards this year.
And forwards too. I'm keeping Danaher out of them.
If you can wait for the preseason game, just see if Joe's up and about. If he is, lock him in.
Yeah. All right.
At